Hi, I'm here to pick up my son Milo.
There's no Milo here.
Who picked up my son from school?
Streaming only on Peacock.
I'm gonna need the name of everyone that could have a connection.
You don't understand. It was just the 5 of us.
So this was all planned.
What are you gonna do?
I will do whatever it takes to get my son back.
I honestly didn't see this coming. These nice people killing each other.
All Her Fault. A new series streaming now only on Peacock.
Meet the computer you can talk to. With Copilot on Windows, working, creating, and collaborating is as easy as talking. Got writer's block? Share your screen with Copilot Vision to help spark inspiration, and use Copilot Voice to have a conversation and brainstorm ideas. Or maybe you need some tech help. With Copilot Vision, Copilot sees what you see. Let Copilot talk you through step-by-step guidance so you can master new apps, games, and skills faster. Try now at windows.com/Copilot.
Kraft Mac and Cheese is better than 90s hip-hop. We'll remind you of your childhood without making you feel incredibly old. Kraft Mac and Cheese. Best thing ever.
Breaking news are happening now.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Reality Flash. My name is Mike Bloom, and I am here to bring you the flashiest breaking news in the wild world of reality TV. Today, I have got a veritable hodgepodge of reality TV controversies, a triple header of potpourri, if you will. But first, of course, I would never be one to fish for likes, but I am always fishing for subs and tips. So be sure to subscribe to this very podcast at therealityflash.com, where, of course, any ratings and reviews are incredibly welcome. And if you spot any reality TV news out there in the universe that you want me to cover, no spam, no solicitations, just tips. That's just tips at therealityflash.com. So, as I just mentioned, the reality TV world this week has just been lit up. It has been hit with a bunch of news breaks of everything from serious allegations to possible breakups to even criminal activity. And I think it's only appropriate that we start with the latter here. So the last time that we saw two-time Survivor player Brandon Hance, of course, the nephew of iconic villain Russell Hance, he was on the beaches of the Philippines in Survivor Caramoan saying that he was the author of his own fate. Evidently, this author's next work might be a crime drama, because on Wednesday, TMZ released the news that Brandon had been arrested, fittingly enough on a Wednesday, actually, and that his home had been raided by the FBI. He has been charged with 2 counts of racketeering conspiracy and arson. This all comes from this big 22-page indictment from the state of Texas that just got released concerning not only Brandon, but 13 members of the Bandidos motorcycle gang, which Brandon actually used to be a member of. He had apparently left the group last year, though he did spend enough time to get 2 nicknames that would put Philip Shepard to shame: Loco and Gundrop. Suffice it to say, we know how loyal to the soil that Brandon Hance can be when it comes to, his group. Though this time we are not talking about a rival tribe like Savaii or a bunch of know-nothing fans. Instead, the people that Brandon was facing off against are a gang known as Beast. Listen, I'm not going to necessarily surprise anybody when I can declare that I am not an out-and-out expert on Texan street gang dynamics. So the fact of the matter is, this gang is spelled B***EAST, as if like the name was breast, but you didn't want to catch their SEO where they're searching for themselves. You're almost like censoring it. So I don't know if you pronounce it Beast or East. I don't know. I'm thinking back to like the days of Bewitched. Shout out to those of you in the comments who, if you remember the hit song C'est La Vie. But at any rate, we're not talking a lot about Beast, though. Of course, what Brandon ends up getting in trouble for has all to do with them. According to the prosecutor's office, these Bandidos had put out a smash on sight order for their rival gang. And I am not just talking about what you should do when a new Reality Flash episode pops up in your feeds. I'm talking that anytime the Banditos were to see a member of Beast, they were supposed to assault or maybe in some cases even murder them. Now, Brandon, of course, is not being charged with murder at this moment, but he could face up to 20 years in prison for each of the charges that he got. I, for one, am incredibly intrigued to see who his one phone call home was at the time of his arrest, considering the litany of truly stand-up citizens the Men in the Hands family have shown themselves to be on reality TV in those early 2010s. Now, all this is, of course, coming from a guy who was going through a lot during his time on Survivor. You know, he came onto South Pacific at only 19 years old, faced a lot of strife and on island and off island as well. In fact, the last time we saw him, because he wasn't invited to the Karamoan reunion, he was threatening to burn down the camp of the favorites. And it appears that threat became a reality off island. Note to the members of Beast, apparently, be sure to check any of your rice for pee, because that might be in his range of options. Let's move on to another property under the CBS Viacom umbrella, The Challenge. And a piece of news that is not nearly as apparent as the ink on Brandon Hance's tattoo-laden face. You know, they say all is fair in love, war, and The Challenge, but one alumni couple's love might be more shaken up than the format of any typical season you might see of the MTV reality stalwart. I'm talking about Zach Nichols and Jenna Campano. They are two former contestants on the show who met on season 26, Battle of the Exes 2, interestingly partnered up with their own exes and falling in love a decade ago in 2015. The two did a number of seasons together, and while they occupied the same screen, to say they were on again, off again would be a pretty severe understatement. Fans were privy to some of their more contentious moments, like when Jenna called home one season and then Zach mistakenly called her Brooke, or another season where they were on together and Jenna kept following Zach around to try to engage her in a very important conversation, and he tried to have security called on her like she was physically assaulting him. Or on another season when Zach was caught on Bumble in his hotel room after the season and claimed that he was actually just downloading it so he could see if it worked in another country. Or in another season when Jenna once again called home and Zach had told her that he was like so concerned about their relationship that he honestly did not know if it would continue if she did not immediately leave the game and come home to him. Despite the many downs that we saw on the show, it did seem like off screen, Zach and Jenna had found their seemingly permanent up. Zach had proposed to Jenna in 2019. The two tied the knot in 2021. And you know what they say? First comes love, then comes the marriage, then comes the baby in the baby carriage, and another in your arms, and another one strapped to your back. Because Zach and Jenna so far have had 3 kids. They are currently at the ages of 3, 2, and I believe either just turning 1 or about to turn 1. And actually, in January, it's revealed that the family continues to grow as the couple posted a birth announcement for their 4th child due in August on Instagram. And Instagram is going to be the site here of what happens next, which makes all of this recent news make it seem all the more surprising. On February 19th, once again, very busy day in the world of reality TV, the ever eagle-eyed challenge fans took a break from their, let's face it, rampant season 41 speculation, which, by the way, check out my podcast with Brian Cohen from last week if you want to hear all about those names that are out there, to check out the Instagram of some of these contestants. And they noticed something new. Zach and Jenna had actually unfollowed each other on Instagram. And actually, additionally, Jenna had unfollowed Zach's podcast, the Zach Nichols podcast, and his co-host, Pierre. Pierre also, in turn, had unfollowed Jenna. And what's most interesting of all, perhaps, is that after all this was noticed, Jenna posted on her Facebook and her Instagram this graphic that reads, quote, 4 common signs of a narcissist. Now, look, I will just say right here, right now, this is pure speculation as to what may be happening. Until anything official is really said, we have no idea what is going on with the two of them or whether this will lead to any sort of split. Who knows? Maybe Zach wants to refollow Jen in another country to see if it looks different. But I think what sort of has challenged fans a little bit on edge is because of what recently happened to another couple in the challenge world. So on January 25th, Nani Gonzalez and Casey Clark, who had met on season 35 of the challenge, had officially declared publicly that they were calling off their engagement of a year and a half and their relationship of 3 years. This was very sudden, very shocking, considering how, in our eyes, this couple had been going so strong. They were planning their wedding. They were giving these sound bites about wanting to have children together. But it should be noted before the announcement was officially made, fans might have picked up on something going on social media-wise. The two of them were not really following each other on Instagram anymore. Nani had actually scrubbed her social media accounts, namely getting rid of a lot of photos with Casey. So again, not to jump to conclusions whatsoever. This could entirely be apples and oranges. But despite Zach's love of Disney princesses, there's a chance him and Jenna might not be able to continue their happily ever after. Now, we're going to move on from past reality stars to current ones, as I'll be back in a flash to tell you all about the rumored allegations against one cast member from the newest season of Love is Blind.
This episode is brought to you by McAfee.
Swimsuit, passport, phone with VPN activated.
VPN?
Cell phone service is going to be spotty on vacation, so we'll be using public Wi-Fi.
Sounds sketchy.
Exactly. The networks can leave your personal info, like credit card numbers, exposed to hackers.
McAfee's secure VPN lets you browse and bank safely from wherever, whenever. Learn more at McAfee.com/online protection.
With new, gentler scented Clorox disinfecting wipes, clean finally smells as good as it feels. On everything from lamps to ceiling fans. Even on your kid's toy shark. Oh, ouch. Clorox disinfecting wipes. Now available in... Ooh, crisp lemon. Find it on Amazon. Clorox. Clean feels good.
REI Co-op presents a perfect outdoor moment with the perfect gift. Picture this. You're ripping with your favorite person. Bluebird skies, blower powder, and frankly, you're skiing like legends.
So sick. Another lap?
Thanks to REI's curation, from lid to sticks, you nailed the gift.
No way. How'd you know?
Does it get more perfect than that? Give without guessing. Shop in store or visit rei.com.
So I've talked about some controversies on this podcast from reality TV stars of seasons past, but let's take a step into the present. In fact, the very present, with a show that just started coming out and is currently in the midst of being released, Love is Blind, and specifically how in the cold of Minnesota, one player is finding himself in very hot water. So this is Alex Brown. So Alex is one of the stars of the hit Netflix series Love is Blind Season 8, which came out with its first 6 episodes last week. Actually, at the time I'm releasing this podcast on Friday, February 21st, it has released its next set of episodes. And Season 8 has earned some critiques from longtime fans of the show, between getting off to a slower start and casting a lot of similar-looking white men. To the point where the picture I have up right now on the video version of this podcast is not Alex Brown. This is actually Daniel. This is Alex Brown. No, I'm sorry. Actually, this is David. David, not Alex. No, that is Mason, actually. There we go. There he is, Alex Brown. So at any rate, Alex came into the pods talking about how he had gone through this rough childhood. He had been bullied before he ended up kind of maturing, growing up into this he's all that kind of glow up. And unfortunately, adolescence is at the center of some very serious allegations against Alex that have been circulating around social media. Now, look, before I proceed further, I just need to say that all of this discussion is going to be based off of comments that have been made online. And at the time I'm recording this, these have not been substantiated by any piece of formal evidence. Now, there is no proof at the moment that Alex did any of these things that he was accused of. All of this is going off of what has been stated online. I just wanted to get that out of the way, prime all this stuff before I proceeded. So Alex was one of the bigger faces in the first 6 episodes of Love is Blind. He was in this sort of like love triangle / square with Madison, who was also involved with Mason, if you just remember him from that lineup of white bread I went through. But when Madison and Mason ended up breaking it off, fans assumed that, okay, it's her and Alex now. They're going to get engaged. They're going to proceed, hopefully, off into the sunset. And they did go on one final date where apparently Alex was very close to proposing to her. Unfortunately, things did not end up materializing between the two of them, and they went their separate ways and left the show. But while Alex's on-screen story ended, another one off-screen began. So after the first episode aired, fans took to social media to talk about the newest batch of contestants. And some people on Reddit found this one comment from a TikTok video concerning Alex. It reads, quote, "Will not be making a video, but Alex used to throw parties in his 20s and would invite only high schoolers. Was 16/17 underage drinking while he was banging my friend." Another commenter responded, "Can verify this story. He was best friends with my best friend for a decade, and he prefers his girlfriends to, quote, dress and act young. Yeesh." Then there's also this comment from Facebook that reads, quote, "This guy was ripped to shreds on our local dating Facebook groups in Minnesota because he would sell alcohol to minors and then ask for sexual pleasures from them. Apparently he has dated many and was a narcissist as well. This sweet personality was always his first step. The post occurred even before he was announced to be on the show. All posts were taken down because he started to get a lot of heat once he was announced at the reunion." So, again, I will say it is important to note, no victims have come forward at this point to identify Alex, though, again, as was stated in one of these comments, the rumors have been making their way apparently through these local groups for a while. And there are no further details at this moment as to when these behaviors occurred or who might have been involved. But suffice it to say, these are incredibly serious allegations. Something that, if true, could get Alex in a lot of trouble. And unfortunately, this is far from the first time Love is Blind has dealt with, let's face it, men with pretty problematic backgrounds on their show. So we will see in due time if Alex ends up appearing on the reunion at the end of the season. And if so, if any of those rumors will be addressed. At the end of it all, love is blind, but justice is as well. So all that is to say, what is your reaction to all of this news? I know we got into some pretty serious topics, but look, the world of reality TV is wide encompassing, and that includes getting into some very murky territory. Let me know your thoughts on any of these news items that dropped in this podcast today. And also, if you like this format, do you like me sort of tackling some of these smaller bites of news items, or would you prefer I come in with the larger, big ticket things and make podcasts about that? Sound off on social media. And of course, if you see something, say something. If you spot any reality TV news out there that you want me to cover, including in a bite-sized form like this, no spam, no solicitations, just tips at therealityflash.com. And once again, subscribe at therealityflash.com to make sure you don't miss a second, because if this podcast is any indication, there could be a lot going on at any particular time, and you want me to describe to you what you need to know, when you need to know, and why you need to know it. That's going to do it for this episode of The Reality Flash. I'll be back in your eyes and ears soon with more reality TV news that you need to know as it breaks. Thank you all so much for listening. You've just been Flash.